I chose front-end developer because I enjoy building things user-friendly, um, the users that can directly interact with. I like transforming ideas into visual appealing and functional interference. During my university projects, I worked on designing responsive web pages using Bootstrap and handling more user interactions using JavaScript, which made me more interest in this role. So actually, front-end developer is kind of creating and visualizing to create a perfect web page for which will interact more people. So I think I'm good at developing and designing, so I choose this. Mhm. So during a recent full stack web application, during a recent full stack web application project in at university, we were tasked with building a web-based development data management solution that needed to be highly dynamic, securely handle service-side data, and remain um, completely responsive across both mobile and desktop within a tight timeline. So my role was to evaluate the select the right contribution of front end and back end technologies to ensure the application could scale efficiently and process user input securely, and it delivers a smooth user experience without unnecessary complexity. So the action was I considered a few different tech combination. For the front end, instead of writing a massive amount of custom media queries from the scratch, I choose Bootstrap to um, for its grid layout system to guarantee mobile responsiveness instantly. And for the core architecture, I evaluated a purely client-side solution versus server-side framework. I decided on Node.js with Express because its asynchronous event-driven nature allowed for rapid handling of client-side validation. And I choose embedded JavaScript over standard static HTML.js. Express.js allowed me to cleanly embed backend data logic right into the view, saving us with domestic DOM manipulation code. So the result was by consciously pairing Node.js, Express, and EJS and Bootstrap, we delivered a fully functional, highly secure application that loaded efficiently and adapted flawless to mobile screen. Taking the time to evaluate these platforms cut our development yearly by 30% and prevented integration. A time when I had to consider a number of different technology platforms to form a solution. I think while developing a multi-page web application that required user registration and dynamic product displays, I need to ensure the UI, the user interface was clean and is fully responsive across mobile devices. So the task I had to evaluate different front-end technology platform for styling, specifically deciding whether to write custom CSS from scratch or implement a CSS framework to find the best balance between rapid development and design flexibility. So, the action I evaluated three options: CSS, Tailwind, and Bootstrap. So, writing purely custom CSS would give me total design control. So, but it would take a long time to write responsive media queries in every single screen size. So, Tailwind was considered, but its utility classes would have cluttered my HTML, so which gave me a tight timeline. So I use my instincts and choose Bootstrap as the platform solution. So and the powerful Flexbox based grid system allowed me to build the layout incredibly fast. So Bootstrap variables with custom CSS overrides for different branding over my solution. So and the result, this approach allowed me to deploy a completely responsive modern front end layout in half the time. So the interface was seamless on mobile devices, and because the code structure was clean, it made debugging layout issues during the reviews, and it made incredibly easy. For this, I think the best example will be for this question. I guess the university project that I've been for the past semester. It was a team project where we need to make and for the final question, I think the during our university project where we had a team project, we had to deliver a multi-page, um, sorry, what to say that, um, we had to develop a multi-page web application as a team. So the project was complex because it requires building multiple responsive views, implementing the validation and backend API routes. So to ensure the project progressed according to the plan, I broke the entire development cycle into a structured timeline using the agile methodologies. So I set up a digital Kanban board to visually map our workflow into tasks. So the to do, in progress, testing, and then we have separated it into four parts. So I divided the front end requirements into smaller and manageable micro tasks. Um, so to keep us on schedule, I established a weekly internal milestones and a group chat to identify any technical blockers what occurred. So when we hit an integration bug in week 3, so that threatened our schedule. Our clear tracking allowed us to immediately reprioritize the task and allocate extra time to resolve the error without delaying other features. So, by breaking the project down and visually tracking the framework, we completed the full front end implementation 3 days ahead of the scheduled time. So, this structure planning gave us ample time for testing and the quality assurance. So, the project delivery was highly evaluated, and we got the high scores from our facilitators or the tutors. Thank you. So I initiated the planning phase on day 1 or 2, the second day of the project, immediately after receiving the initial project requirement documents. So before writing a single line of HTML or CSS code, I brought the team together to review the um outmap of the system requirements. So we use the initial stage to explicitly define the project scope. So and the Kanban board for which helped with the working of our wireframes. So the planning process was right at the outset was crucial because it allowed us to establish the clear coding standards, align our design goals, and catch potential integration challenges development phase. Before the development phase. So the tools we have used are um, the Trello board um, and Figma for our user interface. We have used GitHub for our version control and to monitor everything we have uh, used the Trello board to complete each steps and analyze the work. So for this project, we communicated using WhatsApp, Google Meet, and sometimes in our classes or the library to uh, discuss what we have done and keeping on a regular track of records for what needs to be done later using the Trello as well.